Mark, people received the letter. PFAS, there was a lot of concern. I think it's important to note North Attleboro is not alone in facing these numbers.
No, this is a new regulation that the DEP has put out at 20 parts per trillion for PFAS 6, which is a combination, it's a man made chemical, combination of carbon and fluorine, and it was used in a lot of different products. And right now, testing was required to start in April. We started in November, but since April, over 60 communities have found elevated levels of PFAS above the 20 parts per trillion that the DEP has set as the limit.
So the standard has changed. The water hasn't changed. The standard to measure has changed. Is that it?
Correct. It was an unregulated contaminant before. Back in 2013, the EPA actually asked all Massachusetts drinking water communities to test for PFAS. We all tested at 60 parts per billion. That's what they asked us to test down to, and almost all towns came up clean. So we were all happy. Since then, the EPA's been looking at it further, and they've set a advisory standard for 70 parts per trillion. That's where they tell the states, this is what we think you should set the standard at. And so far, many states have not set the standard at all. A lot of states have set it at 70, and some states, such as Massachusetts, have been progressive, and we're 3.5 times lower than the EPA standard at 20 parts per trillion. But no, our drinking water hasn't changed. It's just the standards we are now required to meet have changed, which happens pretty often in drinking water standards.
I find it interesting some of the products that this chemical, I guess you'd call it, is actually in. For example, we're doing this interview on Thursday, August 6th. It's pouring outside. We have our raincoats. Well, that coating, I guess, is PFA?
Yes, the United States banned American manufacturers from using PFAS in any of the products that they make, but they do not test foreign products coming in. So in all likelihood, your raincoat, firefighting gear, Teflon pans, pretty much it is prevalent in society, PFAS. But the DEP gets to regulate the water community, so that's where they're saying if it's prevalent everywhere else, we need to keep it low in the drinking water just to have an overall decrease in the amount of PFAS that people are exposed to.
I have to wonder, is there a way to filter it out before it reaches homes, or is that technology not here yet?
No, we're actually in the process now. In December, we found out Adamsdale well tested in excess of 20 parts per trillion. It was 28 parts per trillion. We actually took that offline immediately upon the results of that because we could. We had enough capacity that we could take that offline, and started in January on a design for upgrading that plant to have granular activated carbon. And that will take out PFAS and a lot of other contaminants because there's hundreds of unregulated contaminants in the groundwater. But right now, we've just completed the design and we're going out to construction. We received a $200,000 grant from the DEP for that design, and we're going for additional funding for construction. And once that's done, once that's out to bid for construction, we're going to bid the design for McKeon plant, which is the plant that this notice came out from, and we'll design that and we'll construct activated carbon on the front side of that next year.
Is there a segment of the population here in North Attleboro that should be especially concerned, stay away from drinking the town water, and what options would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a very good thing to discuss. There are, certain sensitive subgroups, which are pregnant women, nursing mothers, and people who have autoimmune diseases or concerns if it's artificially suppressed for cancer treatment, for instance. They should be seeking a different source. Currently, we are telling residents who are part of those subgroups that they can purchase bottled water and save the receipts, and we'll offer them an abatement once we get further along in this. And we are right now constructing a kiosk to be here at Whiting Street that has two filters on it. It's going to be a reverse osmosis and activated carbon filter that's going to provide water free for residents if they want to come here and fill up 5-gallon jugs with water. And that should take about a month to construct. It's already under construction.
Is there anything we haven't discussed that you would like to add?
The one thing people need to understand, and I do understand the DEP letter, and that's their letter, they do not let us change much in it, that the water is safe to drink. It's the same water that you were drinking 6 months ago, 6 years ago. You know, I have my coffee 17 times a day here from the taps. And the water for most people is safe to drink. This is a contaminant that's in the water at very low levels. We're well below EPA. The DEP puts in there that it's not an emergency. They just want the municipality to start marching towards the exits to removing it from the drinking water supply.